Welcome to Season 3 of the Healthy Living Doesn't Have to Suck podcast. I'm Melyssa with a Y, double board certified lifestyle medicine coach, size-inclusive fitness specialist, author, and speaker dedicated to helping changemakers like you drop the struggle and create a healthy lifestyle you can love. This season, we're diving even deeper into conversations with guests from all arenas of the health and wellness industry, focused on making healthy living feel easy, enjoyable, and sustainable. Through my book, coaching community, online fitness studio, and corporate wellness packages, I'm here to provide the tools, strategies, and support you need to feel your best. Because when you show up as your healthiest self, you're unstoppable. All right, y'all, let's get to it. Welcome back, Changemakers, and it is Lifestyle Medicine Week. This is a campaign that is hosted every year by the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, which I am representing on my shirt today, even though this series is not affiliated or associated with them, but it is part of the movement to help raise awareness around lifestyle medicine, optimal health guidelines, and more. So during this special week-long series, we're going to have daily releases of podcast episodes that focus on lifestyle medicine and each of the 6 pillars of health. So what does that mean for you? You get to hear from some special guest experts in this industry. And I'm so excited to welcome Dr. John Bonnet to the podcast in our special guest episode today to help kick off Lifestyle Medicine Week by answering the main question, what is lifestyle medicine? So in this episode, he provides a nice overview of lifestyle medicine, the science, the pillars, and more. While he may be too modest to say it, he truly is a lifestyle medicine legend in this industry. So without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Welcome back to the Healthy Living Doesn't Have to Suck podcast, everyone. I am so excited to share this kickoff to our Lifestyle Medicine Week series with Dr. John Bonnet joining us today. Him and I have served on the Fitness and Medicine member interest group together and have stayed in touch and been able to keep up with each other's work, but I cannot wait to share his expertise with you because he has been involved in the lifestyle medicine world since it was created and has just helped expand and grow its message. Dr. Bonnet, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, it is an absolute honor. I'm delighted to be here, Melyssa, and always great to catch up with you.
Thank you. And for those of our audience who may not have been following your work or maybe meeting you for the first time, do you mind just sharing a little bit about your background with us?
Sure. Yeah, so my foray into lifestyle medicine probably came through the exercise world, which I know is one of our passions and where we work together. But so I did exercise science in undergrad and actually did personal training before I did medical school. Felt like it would be more options and ways to be able to help people beyond just exercise. I initially found medicine and was hoping to do more health and wellness kind of care. Obviously, we have a very disease-centric model. So lifestyle medicine was clearly something that I was very interested in, even before I knew what the term was or what the name was or what to call it. So yeah, I got involved with the American College of Lifestyle Medicine probably back in 2012. I think it was the first conference I went to in DC, and it was very small, maybe 100 people there. So
Wow.
Very tiny organization. So it's been really fun to have ridden that wave of really a lot of expansion and growth and interest in the field, really over the last decade or so, to more than 13,000 members at this point. It's been a fun ride. Again, it's one of those things of good timing, good luck, and it's really cool to see how you can help people transform and change their lives through lifestyle behaviors. It's something I've tried to do throughout my different areas of practice. I did family medicine and then did sports medicine, working with teams and athletes, and then ultimately transitioned to doing obesity medicine, which is really, I think, foundationally built on lifestyle medicine. Certainly how we eat, how much we move, our quality of sleep, relationships, how we manage stress, and using substances appropriately. So I feel like I found my way into lifestyle medicine, even if it's technically bariatrics or obesity medicine. But something I've always really felt passionate about was being able to help people improve their health and well-being, certainly using lifestyle behaviors as the primary treatments, and then trying to target the root causes of the ailments that people have. So I think it's something I've always been interested in, is just health. It's just, I think my path has been a little meandering to some, but I'd argue at the core, it's pretty much all the same sort of philosophy and goal of trying to help people just live healthy lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And You've written a lot of books and contributed lots of content for helping to educate clinicians on lifestyle medicine, but also patients on lifestyle medicine. And for those of the change makers who are our audience that may have been listening to this podcast for a while or may have already read the Healthy Living Doesn't Have to Suck book, they've been dipping their toes into the field of lifestyle medicine. But for those new listeners who may be hearing this term for the first time, can you share and educate our audience on what is lifestyle medicine and what it is not, and just maybe some of the common misconceptions that lifestyle medicine as a field might be generating if people are hearing that term for the first time?
Sure, yeah. I spent many years trying to explain it to my parents. So
Right.
if you haven't heard of it, you haven't lived under a rock completely. I think hopefully we are getting a lot more notoriety and buzz and exposure, but I think for most people, conceptually, it's not that hard to figure out, hey, it's a lifestyle related thing. So it probably is to do with my behaviors, and specifically it's focusing on health behaviors, promoting them, facilitating them, and then working to minimize or avoid less healthy lifestyle behaviors. But I think from the medicine standpoint, it really is using those potentially more intensively than just, hey, try and eat good and sleep well and move your body. I think it's really thinking about how can we do this in a way that's very evidence-based, that has rigorous science behind it, is actually designed to not only prevent disease, which we know lifestyle medicine certainly will do, but in some cases even treat, and hopefully in some cases also be able to reverse or put diseases into remission. And we're talking about mostly chronic diseases at this point. But to the idea that you're really using things that we do every day, but using it in a very purposeful way to actually get effects that can be comparable or even better than medications or even to surgery in some cases. So I think that's how I would think about the framework of it. But then in terms of what do these things encompass, it really does encompass pretty much all aspects of life. I think, again, the framework that the American College of Lifestyle Medicine uses is they have their 6 pillars.
Yeah.
You don't need to memorize them, but the easy mnemonic that I stole from David Katz is it's what you do with your feet, your fork, and your fingers. So feet, moving around, being physically active. Your fork, what you put into your mouth, what you eat day to day. Fingers would be hopefully not smoking or using alcohol, either avoiding it or minimally. And then sleep, stress, and love are your other 3. So getting good quality sleep, having ways to cope, manage, and deal with stressors of life, and having good, loving, meaningful relationships and connections with yourself, the people around you, or pets, and higher power if you so desire. So those are the 6 pillars that they use as their framework. But again, I think it's thinking holistically about what are the things I do day to day that impact my health, and then how can I work to either improve them or do them in ways that might be more beneficial for me.
Yeah. And one of the things that I personally love about the 6 pillars is that it really simplifies what a healthy lifestyle is compared to all of this other noise that we might hear in like the fitness and the wellness industry, where there's so many things like supplements and medications and some of the quick fixes that might be promoted. But it's lifestyle medicine is really meant to be used in conjunction with traditional and conventional medicine like pharmaceuticals and things like that. So that's always something that I hear clients express a little bit of concern with, where they're like, "Oh, are you like anti-medication?" And no, that's not what lifestyle medicine is.
Yeah, it is a really good point, and I should have articulated that more clearly. Lifestyle medicine is not replacing traditional medicine or conventional medicine. I prescribe medications every day I'm in clinic, so it really should be used in tandem. Again, I think the whole premise of lifestyle medicine is that it is the foundation of health and should be also of health care.
Right.
So really working to optimize those behaviors first, but also recognizing that sometimes lifestyle is not enough for some conditions. And that's why we have fantastic medications and surgeries and procedures. So it's not to say that these things aren't great. These are incredible and wonderful tools.
Yeah.
It's just using them appropriately and making sure that you are really getting all the value you can out of lifestyle medicine first, because not only are you going to get health benefits, but you're less likely going to have side effects or issues or problems with it. And more importantly, it's going to do more than just target that one disease, right? If you exercise, yeah, it's good for your blood pressure, but it's good for your heart, it's good for your brain, good for your muscles, bones, blood sugar, everything else too. So you get all these added benefits from a lifestyle approach versus a drug. Typically, it's one drug for one disease. And when we're thinking about, most people have multiple conditions or multiple things that you're trying to work on improving. So
Right.
lifestyle is nice because it, again, addresses that root cause, but then also you get the benefits that really will help out in pretty much all those other disease entities, processes too.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for providing those insights as well. I think that's really helpful for people to better understand what the field of lifestyle medicine entails. Something that I know I've run into with clients before is they tend to feel like overwhelmed when they think about making these lifestyle changes to meet some of the optimal health guidelines that are recommended by organizations like the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, American Cancer Society, American Heart Association, like all of the main health players in the industry. So something that I always like to ask some of our experts are, what ways do you help patients and clients feel empowered around changing these behaviors? Because oftentimes we know what we should be doing, but we have a hard time putting that into practice in our lives. So what are some of the things that you've seen be helpful in people feeling more empowered to implement these lifestyle changes in a realistic and manageable way?
Yeah, I'd love to say lifestyle medicine is just easy and everyone can and should do it. If it were that easy, there wouldn't be all of us talking about it all the time, trying to help
Exactly.
people do it. One, I'll say give yourself some grace. This is not easy. I'm not perfect and I know all the stuff and should have access to do all of the things. And I still struggle some days. Like I don't get enough sleep sometimes, or might skip a workout, or will eat, meals that are suboptimal. And that's okay. Like life is not about being perfect, but
Right.
certainly there is a lot that can be gained even from getting part of the way there. And I think a lot of people, and I've struggled with this at times too, is this sort of all or nothing thinking of, I'm either on the exercise program or I'm totally off it. I'm on a perfect diet, eating great every day, or I'm totally off it. And I think getting rid of that mindset is probably the most helpful thing for most people, of saying, you know what, I can just eat a little bit better tomorrow or today. I think today is the way I would frame it versus putting it off towards tomorrow.
Right.
But I think it's also just starting to do something. I think I spent a lot of time in the exercise world, and I'd say more than half the battle is literally just getting to the gym, right? If you get there, you're going to do just fine. But there is a tremendous amount of inertia just doing those first initial steps that are really hard to overcome. So if you can just somehow convince yourself that I just have to start, I'm just going to go for 5 minutes, I'm just going to eat one vegetable, whatever the lowest threshold is where you almost can't fail, right? We could all probably find 5 minutes to go for a 2.5 minute walk out and a 2.5 minute walk back. We could all incorporate one fruit or one vegetable into our daily meal or daily food intake. So I think making the barrier so little that you really don't have a great excuse for, oh, I couldn't do it. But if it's, oh, I'm going to go on an hour-and-a-half walk, like that's a ton of time. That's hard to do. And even if you went for a 30-minute walk, you'd be like, oh, didn't hit my goal. I feel defeated. And that's certainly not what you want to inspire. And I think even people who live pretty healthy lives, like they did not just come out of the womb doing that, right? For most people, it was a transition over years or even decades. I remember as a child, I literally lived on Kraft macaroni and cheese and Chinese noodles and like
Same.
white rice.
Yeah.
Like my diet was like horrible, like awful. And if you look at what I eat now, people are like, oh my gosh, you eat so healthy. How do you do that? There was a time in my life where I couldn't even imagine eating that way. And I literally remember in college, I was like, I should eat one vegetable, like when I get my meal card thing, my mom would me kind of thing. So I ate that mushy broccoli that has probably no nutrients in. But like, and then at some point I was like, I should have a salad. There's like good things in that. So again, I think most people don't realize that transitions take a long time and that even small sustainable changes add up to tremendous growth over a long period. But I think it's real easy because we certainly live in like I want it now society and want that immediate reinforcement and immediate benefit. And I think you just have to realize that lifestyle medicine and honestly health and life are the long game. And so when you're thinking about doing these things, I think you need to approach it with a like small but consistent mindset. And I think the most important thing anyone can do, if you said, I want to make my health as good as it can be, it's not go all in for 6 months. It is radical consistency with like fundamental basics repeatedly day after day. And so I think if you can frame that as, I just want to be a little bit better, I'm not going to go to change the world tomorrow. I think you can find that one, it's much easier to accomplish those goals that you set out for, to feel satisfied, fulfilled, but also give your body some time to adjust to the new behaviors and really build them into a routine and something that is sustainable. Frankly, if it's not sustainable, no matter what the approach is that you're doing, you're going to fall off of it and it's going to stop working, no matter how good it might have been. So efficacy and sustainability really go hand in hand. And if you can't make it in a sustainable way, I think you're going to be in real trouble no matter how good the program is that you found.
Yeah, absolutely. Because many times we can get those short term results, but by doing the really rigid and programmed kind of things. But like you said, that sustainability over time, it's like what happens once you stop that really rigid program and go back to some of those other behaviors. I know that was something when I was in a like team well-being role at a hospital. I had a cardiologist come to me and he shared how frustrating it was to have the same patients coming back after he fixes up their heart in surgery, and then 3 years later they come back for the same exact thing because their lifestyle didn't change. We know that contributes to burnout rates in human healthcare providers, is that low satisfaction of patient outcomes. And I love how you framed it to really focusing on the long game instead of those quick fix short term results. So when people are looking to take that step and make some of these changes that are founded and based in lifestyle medicine, do you have any favorite programs or resources that you tend to share with people? I know both of us are probably going to say the American College of Lifestyle Medicine resources, but any other kinds of things that you have found really helpful to share with people when they're getting started on this journey and taking on this new mindset for the long game?
I think it probably depends on what people are trying to focus on. I think to try and tackle everything at once feels like a lot to me.
Yes.
Again, not to say that you can't do it, but again, I think thinking strategically about what are my priorities, what is most important now, and what am I ready to do something to change can help direct you towards what resources would be most useful. So I think a lot of people do benefit from having some structured professional assistance. If you're talking about how can I build a sustainable exercise program and do it safely and also effectively. If you're talking about dietary changes, again, where are you going to get the education and the knowledge to know what are good choices and what are less optimal choices? So I think depending on where you want to focus would probably help direct someone to what resources I think would be most useful for people who are just getting into health and trying to understand a little bit. I think there are lots of good free resources available that can give you some general insight. There's the guidelines for physical activity. There's the USDA guidelines for healthy diets or the dietary guidelines for Americans. If you want general advice for things like that, there are even recommendations from other organizations that one could look up on the internet or even just do a quick Google search for number of hours of sleep on average, 7 to 9 hours. The American College of Lifestyle Medicine has a lot of good resources. I think there actually are a lot of really great resources online. I can't necessarily vet them all for you and tell them they're all great, but YouTube has tremendous content nowadays. If you can find someone who's reliable or seems to be offering good advice or is credentialed, and obviously your healthcare provider, health coaches are fantastic because they can obviously help you with all the behavior change aspects of it. Medicine is not complicated. I think it is difficult, but it is not complicated. And so I think anyone who's trying to sell you a lot of complicated stuff probably has missed some of the point of lifestyle medicine. Again, coming back to what are the fundamental things? Again, eating a diet that's mostly whole foods, minimally processed, making sure you're getting 30 minutes or so of moderate intensity activity a day, doing 2 strength training sessions a week, getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep at night, making sure you stay hydrated, not smoking, not drinking too much, having good, meaningful connections, having people you can reach out to or resources to manage your stress. That is lifestyle medicine in a nutshell. It's 30 seconds to say, okay, well, the things, knowing what to do is not that hard, but a lot of people, those are not easy things to just do while we're having this conversation. So how do you go about doing that? And part of it is recognizing which ones do I need to work on. So I think identifying what they are and figuring out, do I know what to do in these areas? Am I educated and knowledgeable enough to know what a healthy diet looks like? Or do I need help understanding what that is? And then again, you can go online to resources, American College of Lifestyle Medicine, ask your healthcare provider, talk with a dietitian, whatever that ended up being. But then you can basically tailor the intensity of the support and resources you need to wherever you're at in that stage of change process to be able to help you achieve the goals that you want. That's probably not the easiest answer, but I think for most people, it's identifying where you're at, what your priorities are. And again, I think for people, I'll send a link with you. I literally made a lifestyle medicine assessment tool, and you can fill out within a few minutes, and it will give you a score and feedback on all the different areas of lifestyle medicine, and you can see how good you're doing, or maybe where you have some opportunity to improve. So if you're saying, hey, where should I start? That certainly would be something you could do, get a quick feedback and score, and say, hey, this is an area that I've identified that I would benefit from. So you could even start with something like that and then use that to make your way to addressing everything. But again, it doesn't have to happen overnight.
Yeah, I love that so much because, that common phrase, what gets measured gets managed. So you really want to find out where you're starting at and what areas are going to be important to start making some changes in. Because I know, especially for things like alcohol consumption, people don't recognize what those drinking guidelines are for when it comes to moderate to high risk versus low risk. So that's definitely something that we'll be talking the good news about Lifestyle Medicine Week, and all of the guests that we'll be having is Changemakers, if you're looking for a place to get started and some additional resources to follow, we're going to have guest experts on nutrition, sleep, physical activity over this next week. So you will have plenty of places to start exploring and figuring out which steps you want to engage in to get your lifestyle change journey started. But yeah, John, this has been such a great conversation. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your knowledge and expertise in lifestyle medicine. And something I always love to ask our guest experts is, when you think of the phrase healthy living doesn't have to suck, what kinds of ways do you bring that either into your personal life or your work?
Good question. Yeah, I think it definitely doesn't have to suck. I'd say it feels great. I think the total corollary of that. I think, and even getting back to your first question, I think one of the things that inspired me to go into health and medicine and lifestyle medicine was, I guess I felt like I got to experience the benefit of what lifestyle changes can do when you get enough sleep and you are active and can work out and you eat a healthy diet and can perform really well, whether that's physically or in a sport or even mentally or cognitively or just in life in general. So I think I definitely felt so much better doing those things that there wasn't so much of this, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss all these other things. I'm like, I think a lot of people tend to focus on all the things you have to give up. Oh, I can't eat my Twinkies, and I can't go to McDonald's, and I can't have my 7-Up. And I think there's a lot of almost clinging to some of those things as, oh my gosh, I'll never be able to do without these things. But I think what people fail to realize is that you don't realize how much you get in response to doing those things, which is improved energy, focus, cognition, function, to do the things that you actually really do enjoy in life. And so I think, to me, it's less about losing things and more about what you gain in response to it. And I think health is arguably the most valuable thing one has. And so, again, it's an amorphous, difficult to describe thing, but certainly people who don't have it can spend a lot of time telling you how miserable it can feel when you're in chronic pain all the time, or you have debilitating conditions that don't allow you to function and do things. So I think there is a real prize that can be won with it. And so, again, you can focus on things just not sucking. But I think, to me, I would say, why don't you focus on how wonderful you feel? So even when I work with patients and other people, obviously weight loss is typically one of the goals and the objectives, but I ask them a lot more questions about, how are you feeling now? And people will tell you, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. My knees don't hurt as much. I can walk, and oh, I could go do this thing that I couldn't do before. And I'm actually starting to like healthy food. Like, it's actually starting to taste good. And you actually realize you're losing a whole lot less, even though it feels like at the beginning you're really can give up all these things. So I think for most people, I'd say give it some time and give it a real test, but also recognize how you feel, because I think oftentimes we try and sell people with data and trying to sell them with statistics and how important it is for not having a heart attack or a stroke or dying. But I think what we fail to do is to sell them on, you're going to just feel so much better. Right. And if you get to the point where you feel so much better, all of a sudden, we don't need to keep giving you all these other carrots. You're going to do it because it's intrinsically what you want to do. Get to realize what it feels like to be well. And I think a lot of people have been disconnected from that in our society just because of the way it's structured and built. So I think once people realize how much better it feels to be healthy, they never want to lose that. And at that point, you don't need a doctor, you don't need a health coach. They're convinced. And they'll tell all their friends and family members to do it too. So I think that was my experience with lifestyle medicine. So I feel like it's something I try and articulate and share with other people, but it doesn't happen overnight to get there. But I think if you can make it through those initial really challenging behavior change periods, I think there really is something to find there. And I think if people are able to get there, I think they'll be convinced that, yeah, this is totally worth it. And I can't imagine doing anything different.
That's wonderful. And I resonate with that so much too, because I recently shared a post on LinkedIn where I was talking about how, since I've been practicing the full plate living kind of method, I noticed how I used to crave brunch to be like the bottomless mimosas and bacon and eggs and pancakes and all of that food that would lead me to feel just so bloated and gross and lethargic afterwards. And I recently had this moment where I was making myself brunch on the weekend, and I had sweet potato and cannellini bean mash topped with avocado and a huge side of like bananas and strawberries and blueberries. And I was like actually craving it. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, even 2 years ago, I never would have seen myself in this place now where that would be the type of food that I would be craving versus what I grew up with. And it was because I started noticing how what I was consuming was making me feel. And the same thing with exercise too. Once I stopped focusing on trying to fight my body to change it and instead just moved for joy and for energy and for fun. It just was such a huge transformation. So I appreciate you sharing that side of your story too, and how lifestyle medicine has impacted not just your lifestyle habits, but also that mindset too. I think a lot of people will benefit from hearing that for sure.
Yeah, and I failed to mention this earlier, but yeah, Full Plate Living is a great free resource available for people, particularly if you're looking for dietary support. So yeah, I think Ardmore has done some really nice services for folks, and that's one of the free ones that get online. And what I love about it is simple, right? It just tells you, hey, this is 75% of your plate is good whole food stuff that's filled with fiber. The other 25% can be what you want it to be. And I think that's, again, one of those like not all or nothing approaches where you do it sustainably. You do it, and there's my cat.
Oh, yay. We love pets.
Yeah, I know. You broke on in here to say hi.
I love that.
But I do think it's a great resource. And there are other ones as well. But I think that's awesome that you're using it, Melyssa. But yeah, I think I've looked at it and given it to many patients as well.
That's awesome. And Changemakers, here's a little teaser. We are going to have Amy Hannes from the Full Plate Living program on the podcast to speak about nutrition for Lifestyle Medicine Week. So tune in just a couple of days and you'll get to hear more from her about Full Plate Living and the Ardmore Institute of Health and some of the other programs that they have going on. But Dr. Bonnet, thank you so much for joining me. And for people who may be interested in learning more about you and some of your work, where would be the best place for them to connect with you?
I probably am on LinkedIn more than anything else.
Okay.
I have an Instagram account. I have a Twitter account, but I'm not the most active person on social media, which I think is actually probably a good lifestyle medicine type of thing. I'm on there occasionally. Yeah, I can share the links and the handle for that. If people do want to follow me, you're totally welcome to.
Yeah, I know you share great information on LinkedIn, so I'll definitely make sure that's in the show notes for everyone. And thank you so much for taking this time and being here today. Any last minute kind of words of wisdom or little takeaways that you want to share with our audience before we sign off?
No, I think I love the podcast that you're putting on, Melyssa, and I hope that people do take to heart some of the messages that I think you're sharing with them. I think the only thing I'll just share about lifestyle medicine, and again, I've tried to do more of this with my public health background, is also to, again, getting back to, I think a lot of people try this and often can feel like disappointed or like they failed because they didn't make all the changes they want and they didn't see the results they've gotten. And I just want to like empathize with people that doing this is not easy. It definitely is worth it, but it's certainly not easy in the world that we live in. And so I think a big part of lifestyle medicine does come down to the environments we find ourselves in. And some of those we have a little bit of control over, but some of them we don't. We don't control the global food environment that we live in. We don't control our ability to be active or to use a bike or walk to work or things like that. Mm-hmm. So to the degree that you can modify your environment, I'm definitely a fan of working smarter, not harder. And so again, whether that's cleaning out the fridge and the pantry or making it very easy to go for a walk or be able to get some exercise, I think the more you can build into your environment so that the default choices are healthy ones, I think you'll find the far more successful you'll be without having to exert all that willpower, because it is a finite resource. No matter how strong-willed one thinks they are, there will be those moments and those days where willpower is not going to be able to cut it. But if you have a system in place, the system can work for itself. And so it becomes less reliant on the individual to feel like you are the harbinger of your own health. And if you can't get healthy, this is your fault. And I think when people ascribe to that, I think they really can set themselves up for a lot of failure. There are a lot of things that are working against people. So the more we could change our collective public health environment, I think the better off we would all be for sure. But I also think recognizing that we are fighting an uphill battle in many of the places where we live, work, and play, but at least we can focus some on at least our immediate environment to make that as healthy as possible so that the healthy choices you make are the default ones.
That is such a great way to wrap up this podcast. And thank you again so much for helping us to kick off Lifestyle Medicine Week. I'm so excited for the rest of the episodes that we'll have releasing each day. Each day is going to highlight a pillar of lifestyle medicine. So that way our Changemaker audience is going to get to learn more about each of the 6 pillars, as well as wrapping up with a nice episode on now, how do we get started with all of this? So we'll have a behavior change expert with us as well. So Dr. Bonnet, thank you so much for your time and your knowledge and energy. We really appreciate having you today.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for hosting me, Melyssa. And yeah, good luck to everyone out there making all those healthy changes.
All right, change makers, until next time, keep it real, stay positive, and keep working on those goals. We'll catch you for the next episodes of Lifestyle Medicine Week coming up soon. As a quick, friendly reminder, the information in these podcasts are always strictly for educational purposes only. As always, thanks so much for listening, Changemakers. And if you can please remember to head to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe, rate, and review. It will help this podcast reach other changemakers so they can start listening and tuning in each week. Hey there, changemakers. As a bonus, if you've been wanting to make healthier choices but don't feel like you have the time or even know where to start, make sure you check out my Lifestyle Medicine Mini Makeover. It's a free 7-day email series designed to help you take small, powerful steps toward better health that can fit into your busy lifestyle. Each day, you'll get an email that educates you on one of the lifestyle medicine pillars, along with a simple mini challenge to put what you learned into action. If you're ready to level up your health with lifestyle medicine, then sign up now at healthylivingdoesn'thavetosuck.com/makeover, and let's do this together. By the end of this week-long challenge, you will have success in showing yourself that healthy living doesn't have to suck.